Hello and welcome to my Yu-Gi-Oh channel. Make sure to subscribe for more daily Yu-Gi-Oh content. So today we've got a brand new synchro monster that's coming out of Dawn of Majesty. It's called Wolfrayet, the Stellar Wind Wolf. It's a beast type synchro monster, wind attribute level 9 with 2500 attack and 0 defense. It requires 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. Its effects are you can only control 1 Wolfrayet, the Stellar Wind Wolf, 2 each time another monster's effect is activated. While this card has less than 4000 attack, this card gains 300 attack. And the third effect, once per turn if this card's attack is 4000 or more. As a quick effect, you can shuffle this card and all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. So I've mixed on this card. Whilst it does have a very powerful effect, it does take quite a bit of time to be able to trigger it. Let's have a quick breakdown. For starters, it's a level 9 monster. It's not going to be too difficult to summon. Getting, those levels isn't bad. Had this been a level 8, I would have seen it as being a bit better because you're able to get more even numbers a lot simpler. Otherwise, you have to run like a Yusei Fudo style of deck with all the tuners and all the different levels attached. So you've got that balance. Otherwise, it's not as good as it can be. The thing about it being only having one card on the field, I think is necessary because if you've got multiple copies and they've all got this effect, this can be a nightmare to deal with for your opponent. It would end up making it far too strong. The secondary effect allows it to continually add attack points to itself, even to the point where it doesn't say 4000, even though 4000 is its maximum, it's still able to gain, a nice amount of attack points. But it does rely on all monster effects to be activated, so whilst this does happen to be yours, it can be your opponent's as well. So you are going to try and have to consistently use your own monster's effects to boost it up to use its third effect. Otherwise, again, relying on your opponent, they're going to get rid of this before you ever get the chance to use its effect. The final part, which is where its effect actually comes into play and introduces itself as a quick effect, to be able to shuffle all of your opponent's monsters back into the deck alongside with this card is a massive advantage if you can get it to work. The problem is, again, getting it to that 4000 attack stat. Your opponent is going to try everything they can within their power to either reduce this monster's attack so that you can't do this, or to get rid of it by limiting their own monster effects. Depending on what they're playing, it's very archetypal based. If certain archetypes use heavy amounts of monster effects, then that might be the only way of getting rid of this card, and therefore they might fall into the trap of this effect. Alternatively, they're going to try and use spell or trap effects to try and get rid of this before that. Its advantage comes from depending on how many monsters your opponent has on the field. If they've got plenty of them out, you are getting rid of a lot of resources. My only concern is that it's a very high risk, high reward strategy. Whilst it has the opportunity to do a lot for you, it can just have so much devastation to yourself as well, considering the resources you have. And it being a new card, people will become very familiar with this. Although I have to say there might be some benefit down the pipeline in the form of the wind structure deck, which is going to be supporting 3 different characters who support wind attribute decks. One focuses on the Fleur de Chevalier line, which is to do with Sherry LeBlanc. Another one is to do with Yugioh, who is the one who uses Crystal Wings Synchro Dragon. And then you've also got another one which is for Shay Obsidian's sister Lulu, who works on the Lyrical Lucinias. And I'm sure within that you'll get generic wind support in there as well, so if that pairs and times well with this card, I will revoke all of my criticisms with it. We just have to wait and see what this card can actually do when it gets introduced, and when we finally get the full list of Dawn of Majesty.